Got it.
Jim? Mm-hmm. I just got a notification for a transaction on our bank account for $4,500. You know anything about that?
Yes. Let's talk.
Okay.
Okay, here's the situation. This is a Project 24 member who has the website fishtanksetups.com. And I just bought it. Here's why. Okay, maybe it's not the best deal. I mean, based on a pure multiplier of what they're earning, it's not what we normally pay, but it looks like a fascinating SEO case study because this site got hammered by an algorithm update and the Amazon cut, and I want to see if we can bring it back to its former glory.
All right, let's do this.
Okay, so we get in the acting now. I know you've seen this site.
Yes, I
Tell
have.
them about it.
I was out of town when you bought it,
That's
though.
true, okay.
But we docked it through first.
All right, so the site was started, and in 2019, it did really well, earned $9,500. And so at the rate that it was earning at that time, that site would have sold for almost 27 grand.
Yeah.
It was good, but then 2020 hit, and like everything else,
It started off okay, right? And then like May, you watch the income just like take a nosedive.
right, and that's two factors. One, Amazon cuts commissions. This guy went from an 8% category to a 3% category, and didn't figure out any other monetization to do it. And at the same time, there was a May core algorithm update on Google. This site gets whacked. Traffic goes way down. In 2020, since those changes, it's earning $56.48 a month.
Oh man.
Ouch!
Wait, how much did you pay?
Yeah.
And here's the
So
thing.
let's talk about that.
Yeah, when we look at that sort of an income and we look at the trajectory of the site, because it wasn't just a one-time hit, but we look at the income has just slowly been ticking down each month. And with that sort of a trajectory, a multiplier of 28 to 32 is probably generous. And so even at a 32x multiplier,
keep it down, Siri.
quiet down. Even at a 32x multiplier, this site was worth $1,807.36.
And it's a little
That was it.
generous.
But you're right. I think this is a fascinating SEO study.
So now we get to actually dive into the website, see what has gone right, see what has gone wrong, and we're going to show you some really cool details that you're going to like. So first thing is, why isn't the site ranking better? So we did an analysis on the site. So in Project 24, we have our Battleship Method course that basically is for any existing site to a structured way to look through your site and really provide a content audit on how your content is performing and then learning why. We spent many hours actually in this room going through creating algorithms that you could type in the page views that the article is actually getting, and then go actually Google the primary search phrase and see what position you're ranking at. And then it does some pretty cool stuff. The formula is like many lines long.
Like 3 lines on the laptop here.
It's big. And then it will tell you exactly what you should do. Should you just leave this post alone? Should you go nicen it up a little bit? Should you totally rewrite it? Should you just forget this keyword ever existed? With those 2 bits of data, we can really tell what we need to do with the post. So we've entered that in for 143 blog posts, and that's why the site was worth more, is I was really just buying the content.
Exactly.
So
we put in the
why
data.
isn't the site ranking better than it is?
Well, okay, so as we look at this, first of all, in this Battleship analysis that we did, most of the posts we would classify as misposts. A mispost becomes a mispost for one reason or two. There's
missed
2.
the mark.
One indicator is that it ranks fine, but there's no traffic. So your search analysis was bad. You picked a topic that just had really low search volume.
It's like that once that I wrote the blog post on what dirt bike does Dwight Schrute ride.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, it ranked number 1 in 3 hours, but it gets no traffic.
Yeah, absolutely. That was the point. But the other reason you might have a missed post is that it's got very low traffic, but it's also not ranking. And so we don't know what the search volume looks like. And in that case, we need to assess the search analysis. And what we found was there are a ton of articles on this website in that category that are ranking number 20 or worse.
So let's take a specific example.
Yeah.
How much gravel for an aquarium? That's one of the articles that the previous owner wrote. It's not such a bad search phrase. Great. Yeah. I'm trying to put gravel in, wondering how much, right? So I see fish tank setups as like whatever, number 5 on here on the SERP. And I go read through the article. And at first I was a little confused because I read through the article and I thought, it's a reasonable answer. There are some things I'd want to clean up here, but it's a reasonable answer. And so why is it doing worse than the others? Well, when you're the small site and you're really producing the same thing as the big sites, you get to rank last. Because there's nothing special about this. We see the answer. The answer target is, when filling an aquarium with gravel, you should use 1 pound of substrate per gallon of water. And you look at the other blog posts, every blog post just regurgitates this same answer.
It's just the industry standard, the knowledge.
Someone decided once, right? Yeah. And then look at the blog post. See how it's the different pictures of substrate? I think you would use a different amount of large pebbles than you would this really, really fine pebble, right? And I think we could provide a more helpful answer.
There's more to it than just a pound per gallon.
So I think the point is, there's nothing wrong with that general wisdom. That's not what we're saying. I have no idea, right? But what we are saying is, all it is summarizing what everybody else has said on a new site without a ton of authority. So if all you're doing is that, then the person who wrote the same essential article but is on a big site is just going to beat you. Yep. And so it's not that this was too competitive, it's that it was too competitive for this level of writing. Then we get into the subheadings of this post. And it's like, use gravel for a fish-only aquarium, telling you what kind of gravel to get. Is that quite what I searched? No, I searched how much gravel.
Yeah, it should be, if it's fish only and there's no plants and other things in it, how much gravel.
And then he goes into the types of substrate to put in there: aqua soil, crushed coral, etc. And I thought, oh, that's great. He's going into all these different types, some of them bigger and some of them more fine, and he's saying how much to put in. But you read the article, that's not actually what happened. He's just telling you you can use sand. You can use big pebbles. That's not what I Googled. These subheadings are fine, but stay on the topic of how much of all of those things. That seems like, okay, that's kind of a nuance here. It's not a nuance. You think about it in Google's eyes. Google says, hey, you know what, really? This blog post only has 3 sentences that are relevant to the query. Yeah. Actually, it has 2,000 words, about gravel, but not about how much. Yeah. And so it's as if this post is 3 sentences long.
Over 2/3 of the content in that blog post is completely off topic.
It's not about how much.
For the search query. If all the other competing content is exactly the same as this, but we have an opportunity, because if we can create something that's more relevant and that's better, we can actually potentially outrank the bigger sites. And I think that's just an important key here. If we can only create something that is the same or even marginally better as an existing website, Google has no reason to have your content outrank their content. If you're going to try to outrank existing content with the same information, the way you present it, or even the depth of information, needs to be a whole level better than what's already out there. And that's not what we're seeing here. And in fact, we're seeing in this niche, we are seeing dozens of websites,
so many,
all covering the same information.
Oh my goodness. Stop making fish tank websites, people. Okay, so that's number 1, is the content quality just isn't there. And that's something that's easy to overlook when you're looking at your own writing. You're like, no, I wrote a good blog post. Yeah. You got to really analyze it. Okay, so that's number 1. The next thing that I think is wrong with the site is the search analysis. So I think very few, as we're looking through the Battleship Method, very few of these like ranked number 1 or number 1, number 2, number 3, and yet we're still low page views.
Yeah.
In fact, that was really only a few. Let's give them a couple of those. Okay, so
Yeah, can an aquarium have too many aquatic plants? Ranked number 1, but only gets 374 page views.
so that one's not too bad.
It's
it's
not
at
too
least
bad.
374.
There's one here
Here's
gets
one-
227. Is there even
Why
lower?
do goldfish turn white? No. Let's say ranking position. I got to sort this by ranking position. It's a good
Yeah, I've
thing
got
we're doing
one.
this live. Everybody, this is good television right now.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, should you put a fish tank in a toddler's room? Ranks number 1, but is only getting 23
Ooh.
page views a month. It was just too small. It was too niche. People
Yes.
aren't searching that. How much sunlight does a fish pond need? Ranks number 1, 25 page views in the last 30 days. They're too small. So it was only a few, though, that were just like misses. Just not a good search phrase. Most of these are good.
Pretty good.
It's fine. But what I would say is, again, when you're the new site, it's a lot of just like, how do you, beta care guide? How much should you feed a goldfish? Do betas fight each other? Just, it feels
What
like...
fish can you pair with betas?
Yeah, it feels like we're on autocomplete. We've typed beta fish, and now we're just going boom, 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 boom. I'm taking everything.
Yeah.
Now, we love autocomplete for getting ideas for it. And one thing, we talked about this in the podcast. We do a Project 24 podcast.
Yep.
Those of you who are Project 24 members, every Friday a new podcast episode comes out. And that's where we really share our like up to the minute. We kind of bring the team together and say like, what did we learn this week? What did we experience? And then we present that on the podcast. And that was one thing we talked about this week is like, I want more people in search analysis relying on your gray matter.
Yeah.
Of just saying like, hey, if I'm getting a fish tank, what are some things I would Google? And you're getting ideas from autocomplete, but thinking about what you would actually type.
Yeah, and autocomplete is incomplete. It's not search analysis is not. Let's look what Google auto suggests.
We need a shirt with that.
Yeah. Autocomplete is not complete.
Yeah.
Because it's not. There's another step. We need to go assess the competition. We need to assess the existing content for that search term. And if he had done that.
Yeah, on all of these, some of them, I was like, oh my gosh, there are 3 pages of results on that.
Yeah.
And that's where I say don't make fish tanks.
And in like a minute, we
overdone.
identified a couple just, again, using our gray matter with no competition. So
Yeah.
for example, how big of a fish tank can you put upstairs?
Great.
I know that this is an issue because I have an aquarium and because I know people who have massive aquariums. And if you don't have a nice shored up spot and you try to put a 300-gallon tank in your upstairs, it's probably going to fall through the floor. So I know that's an issue. And we search that. Top result, forum. Second result, another forum.
Yeah.
We have an opportunity here.
And then we were thinking more like, and I thought, what should you put a fish tank on?
Yeah.
A dresser or whatever. And I searched that, there's kind of a lot of competition. I thought a little bit more and I thought, should you put a towel under the fish tank or like something to protect that dresser or whatever? And it's forums in there. And so the point is, I don't know how many people search, should you put a towel under a fish tank?
Yeah.
I don't know how many people search, can you put a really heavy fish tank upstairs? But those are questions. So the dang inverted pyramid. We always come back to this because it's like so key to search analysis. And the point is that if you're at the very start of learning something, everyone makes those searches.
There's a lot of people.
And you go way, way, way down to get to the real specialized stuff of, anyway, it's important.
How to take care of a beta fish that seems to be feeling lonely.
Yeah.
I mean, like, there's like 4 people searching that.
And has one blue eye.
Oh, yeah,
Yes.
right. the one blue-eyed beta.
So the point is, we don't know if these are winners or not, but they are base of the pyramid stuff that we talk about it in our search analysis class. And so you keep trying enough of those base of the pyramid kind of reasonable questions, you're going to get some slamming articles to write.
I think
that's where you dominate.
You're going to get a higher hit rate, right? You're not going to get nearly so many of these where you put in the work, you write the article, and you still don't get any of the traffic because you don't even show up on page 1 or 2 of Google.
Yeah.
Whereas with this base of the pyramid stuff that most people are ignoring, by the way, you have huge opportunities because the search volume is more likely to be high on those versus the tip of the pyramid kind of stuff.
Last thing that we feel like is an easy win for us is just going through every single article and rewriting the answer target. Where we have a lot of content that's very similar and we can rank in the top 10, but we're not getting to the top ones. Hello.
Yeah.
Let's just win with answer targets because everybody else is ignoring answer targets. Like I listen to a ton of different SEOs because I just want to be up on everything. I can't believe how few people are paying attention to this. And so the fact that we can just go through and write a nice answer target to it, we're going to go whoop. Anyway, so that is fishtanksetups.com. It's why we bought it. It's why we paid too much for it. Our goal with it is to take it from where it is now to what it would have sold for at its height and do it as quickly as possible. We'll see if we can make it.